All right, shalom, shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shah, Bahasham, Habakkuk double honors to the elder apostles, great millstone, rule and teach well, and honors and salutations to the men of the Lord doing the same, teaching the same. All right, this is sit down on, Darashyah, okay, and he's reportedly locked up in jail. All right, and I found this out, by the brother Yadiah from Baton Rouge. All right, so we're gonna scroll down, but you can get the picture. Yep, that's him. So we're gonna go through some scriptures and also, kind of because the Lord did this to him. All right, he's not of the household of faith. Okay, he's not um he's not in his truth. He's not a Hebrew Israelite as far as the ministry is concerned. All right. Now we, you know, don't be don't be simple minded. Of course that's our nationality and race. All right, but he's not, in his truth nor as far as a religious aspect, a Hebrew Israelite. So I had to say that first and foremost. Okay. He has zero ties. He has zero ties. You know, to the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, you got to say that because of Esau, the so-called white man, he's the devil the Bible speaks of. We already know what Esau, the so-called white man, is going to do. All right, Esau, the so-called white man, he's going to do a background check on Darashyah. His real name is Jimmy J. Mouton Jr. Okay, so Esau, he's going to do a background check. And they're going to see everything. And then they're going to try to, link this up. This is going to, they're going to try to link it up. So this is just more ammo for Esau to, so-called justify himself in, bringing that persecution, all right, on us and his truth, okay? Because you got guys like this that's not of the truth, and that's not of the elect. Once they leave, from being a Hebrew Israelite and they go back into the world and they do something wicked and evil, Esau still try to tie that shit back, you know. Okay, so we're gonna read some stuff on him. I'm not gonna watch a clip or anything, but just gonna yep, and see it says Yadiah said, "Can't make this up." You can't, the scriptures can't be broken, bro. When a person leave the truth, they're worse than before. They worse before they even came into the truth. All right, and more unclean spirits get on them, and they start to do shit that they wasn't even doing before they came into the truth. All right, because the Lord is not to play with. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah is not to play with. All right, so the Lord told us the consequences of leaving the truth. Okay, and you get to see it in live time what happened to those that leave the truth. Okay, so it says Jimmy Mouton arrested in connection with vandalism at churches. Okay, it says he was arrested for institutional vandalism in connection to 3 churches that were vandalized overnight. Mouton allegedly spray painted the words "the Son of God, bitch," and greeted lying pedophiles on the side of Indian Mound Baptist Church around 12:45 a.m. Monday. Okay, through. Okay, so for the sincere believers in this truth household of faith, that's patiently waiting on, Yahweh to send his only begotten son, Yahweh Shah, okay, Hamashiach, the Messiah back to the earth to deliver us, okay, and Lord willing them of the elect number. Let this be an example of, this is why we should fear Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah more. because we see what happened to guys that leave the truth. They man, all right. So it says, I'm gonna get this brother precept. It says Romans 1:28. And even as they did not like to retain Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua in their knowledge, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. Exactly. All right. So that dude has a reprobate mind. Okay. And we're gonna get that word reprobate. Bear with me. I don't want to make it too long. Because this not really major news. This is just let this be a lesson to the sincere believers. All right. So like you. All right. So this that word reprobate.
Strong's G96, Adakimas.
Okay. It says not standing the test. Not standing the test. Not approved. That's a beautiful precept. Not standing the test. Not approved. Okay. Properly used of metals and coins. Okay. Because the elect is compared to gold. All right. The elect is compared to gold. So if you're, if you're not one of those little golden nuggets that's able to withstand this adversity and endure until the end, and the Lord gets all those impurities out of you, and you still endure until the end. If you're not one of those those pieces of gold, figuratively speaking, you're not going to what? You're not going to stand the test. Not standing the test, not approved, properly use the metals and coins, that which does not approve, that which does not prove itself such as it ought, unfit for, unproved, spurious, reprobate, okay? Worthless, down here Strong's definition. Worthless, castaway, rejected. That's scary, okay? King David said, cast me not away, So man, you literally watch, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua cast this dude away. All right. And he had his run, he was on fire in this truth. All right. And like I always tell people, he had a 4-year head start, because he been watching Great Millstone since ninth grade, and around the time we started, having Bible study and stuff like that, shit, he was teaching me. But this was before we joined with Great Millstone, okay? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. This dude is through, okay? And now he's just waiting for destruction, all right? When the Lord brings all this destruction and judgment on the earth, he's going to be a part of that, okay? So it's over with, okay? So that's pretty much it. We're going to get some precepts and we're going to close out, okay? That's pretty much it. This 2 Corinthians 6:3, giving no offense in anything, that the ministry be not blamed. Right. So even though, like I said, this guy, Jimmy, he has no ties to the ministry. He has zero ties to the Hebrew Israelites, but yet Esau, being the devil that he is, the so-called white man, he's going to still reach back in the past. He's going to, do a background check, and he's going to see. And he's still going to try to, tie it back. You can't put nothing past Esau. Esau is the devil. All right. And Esau clearly see and know we do not claim him. He's, He's not a part, you know, of this truth. All right. He's not a part of the Hebrew Israelites. Okay. But they still going to try to tie him back, you know. Whether they do or not, that persecution's still coming. This is just one of those aha moments for scoffers and people that hate the truth, people that hate the Hebrew Israelites, and trust me, there's billions of them. They would love to come across that type of information. You know, so this Luke chapter 12 and 40. It says, "Be ye therefore ready also, for the Son of Man cometh at an hour when ye think not." Then Peter said unto him, Lord, speakest thou this parable unto us, or even to all? And the Lord said, Who then is the faithful and wise steward, whom his Lord shall make ruler over his household, to give them their portion of meat in due season? That's right. And that's what we want. That's what their reward, we're waiting on it. We're praying for it. We praying and watching and hoping Yahweh Hashem Yahushua deliver us from this coming destruction on the earth. And we want to be joint heirs, with Yahushua in the kingdom of heaven. Okay? It says, blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Okay? So when the Lord come back, you want the Lord to find you what? Being faithful. Okay? Trusting in his name. Doing the work. All right? Making your calling and election sure. Okay? That's what the Hophi elect is going to be doing. They're not going to be doing what you see this guy. The Hophi elect, those of us that's in the household of faith, all right, and spiritual minded, you're not going to be doing what this guy Darashyah did. Okay, not going to be doing nothing carnal and nothing of the world. Okay, we're spiritual people. All right, because Esau, he's trying to paint the picture to us being terrorists, bad and things like that. Okay. So it says, of a truth I say unto you, that he will make him ruler over all that he hath. Okay. But and if that servant say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to beat the men servants and maidens, and to eat and drink and to be drunken, the Lord of that servant will come in a day when he looketh not for him, and at an hour when he is not aware, and will cut him in asunder, and will appoint him his portion with the unbelievers. Exactly. So Darashyah is going to get the same judgment that these unbelievers have gotten. And we're going to speak on some of the the evil, wicked things that he done said, to the apostles on down. Okay. Okay. Just, for those who don't know or whatever like that. So it's a reason why the Lord jacked this dude up. It's a reason why he's knee deep in some shit. Okay. It says, and that servant which knew his Lord's will and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. Okay. So, and that goes back to 1 Peter 4 and 17. Okay. So, man, the Lord gonna give him a special death. All right. 1 Peter 4 and 17. For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of the Most High. And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua? Okay? You see? I might not get all the precepts. Let me see how much time. Okay, yeah, I'm about to shut it down, actually. Yeah, I'm going to shut it down early. All right? But yeah, this guy, Darashyah, I could just keep it right here. But this guy Darashyah, he was a false prophet. Okay, he was saying that he talked to the angels and he things and that, and that he received visions and all that, and the angel told him, that Elder Pastor Hall was going to die. All right, and that was a false vision. He's a false prophet. All right, and he even swore on his own self. You know that he's not a prophet and he's a false prophet if it doesn't come true or whatever like that. All right, so worse is to come. Worse is to come to this guy. Okay, and it's not just Elder Pastor Har, but Elder Pastor Har on down to the least of us, that's of the household of faith, those of whom he know, you know, uh, personally, he tried to tarnish our reputation. All right, which we ain't gotta speak too much on that. So yeah, that's why Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is severely judging that guy. You can't attack the servants of the Lord. All right, the Lord said, "Do my prophets no harm." Okay, that includes verbal disrespect. That includes wishing death on the men of the Lord, which he did to Elder Pastor Tahar. Okay, and he was just like a thirsty whore, because you can tell he really really wanted the apostles' attention, like for that short time period when he making multiple videos talking directly to the apostles and things like that. So he was just a thirsty bitch. Okay, so the Lord gave him over. All right, he got a reprobate mind. He was rejected by Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Okay, and he's kicked out the truth. Now he's just waiting on destruction. All right, and when he in jail, he probably gonna get he's probably gonna go through the same shit that Gorilla Hebrew guy went through. All right, Alizar, he's probably gonna go through the same shit he went through. Okay. So, Lord willing, that was edifying. I want to end it and give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Hawakakodash. Double honors to the elder apostles, great millstone, rule and teach well, and honors and salutations to the men of the Lord, doing the same and teaching the same. Shalom.